Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Graham. I'm Vice President of Consumer and Aftermarket Products here at Brunswick Bowling Products. I've been at Brunswick now for 10 years, and obviously we've had a lot of very exciting things happening here at Brunswick over the last year and a half, and really excited about being able to get back out in the market. But obviously, given the current circumstances, I'm also excited just to be here and be able to do this via a virtual manner, and be able to sit down and talk a little bit about what's going on in Brunswick, give everybody an update, and it's very nice to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So now, Randy, can you please introduce yourself to Japanese market?
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Randy Taitloff. I'm Director of R&D here at Brunswick Bowling Products, and I've been an industry veteran for almost 31 years at bridged over from Ebonite International to Brunswick, and have been working with Hammer for over 20 years now and developing a lot of the products. So I work with pretty much all of the development work that goes into the balls themselves and try to make those products as good as they possibly can be.
Thank you. Well, first of all, we would like to ask about the current status of Brunswick Group. It's been almost like 15 months since an outstanding news that Brunswick Bowling, who is already a huge company, has acquired former brands. This is something that is unprecedented in the bowling history and obviously had a great impact. What was the reaction you heard or felt from the market?
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to answer that. And you highlighted it's been 15 months, and really during that time we've been very busy here. And I don't think that people really understand how much work has been done since the acquisition, but we've worked extremely hard to continue to implement so many of the things from Ebonite International. As part of the acquisition, we acquired not only intellectual property, but also manufacturing equipment, processes, core designs, formulations, and we've really worked hard in order to implement all of that information, all of that know-how and expertise that was really acquired through the years at Ebonite, and obviously Randy is a big part of that, being able to join us here at Brunswick. It's really resulted in us being able to make more balls, increase our capacity, and really become the world's largest bowling ball manufacturer. So a lot of work's been done in these past 15 months, but the great thing has really been the amount of R&D work that's gone in to developing new products and expanding ball motion. As far as how the market's responded, we can really measure. It's been very simple, and it's been from Hammer, the Hammer brand in particular, with so many balls that have been such a great positive response on, like Redemption Solid we've launched first just a year ago, Black Widow 2.0, the Obsessions most recently, and of course, there's so many other exciting balls that we're really happy with, most recently the Ebonite GB4. So we've been able to really capture the essence of a lot of the bowling balls that many that Ebonite International had been making in the past, and be able to implement them here at Brunswick Bowling Products.
Wow, that's fantastic. Thank you. Well, I think what bowlers want to know the most is what this acquisition brought to Brunswick, like you already mentioned. You may not be able to tell us all, but are there any kinds of new technology or knowledge that have added it to Brunswick and you can share with us and the market?
I can tell you, a lot of processes. Ebonite International has done a lot of things different than we have at Brunswick. And we are excited about bringing a lot of those processes over. A lot of the things we're working on now, the finishing process, the core design process, the core manufacturing process. There were several things that were different than what we have done at Brunswick, and it's allowed us to really expand our range of ball motion, as I mentioned. Multi-density core designs, vertical seam cores, and really we've been working to maximize the ball performance that we can achieve, and really, be able to deliver that to the market. Of course, one of the things that we're really excited about, and we've teased it, is being able to bring an extremely unique urethane cover stock with the purple hammer. We have that in the works and hope to have it to market very soon. Of course, there's some other very interesting new technologies I know that Randy's been working on. I've worked with Randy before during my days at Ebonite International. He's the smartest mind in bowling, and I have all the confidence in the world that he's going to allow us to push the limits when it comes to ball performance in the future. One of the other things we've done is be able to expand Brunswick's durability optimization technology. We call it DOT, and being able to offer that in the other brands now that we're now manufacturing. So, we brought a lot of things from Ebonite International, and we've also been able to deliver some of the things we've been doing at Brunswick and be able to bring them into our 4 new brands. So there's a lot of things to be excited about. But most importantly, I would say for bowlers, it's ball performance. We have better, stronger ball performance, and that's what bowlers are looking for.
So it's the mixture of Brunswick and EBI's technology makes the ball much better.
That is correct. That's what we looked at in the beginning when this all started coming together. How do we take the best things for Brunswick and the best things from Ebonite International and become really a world-class bowling ball manufacturer delivering outstanding ball performance and not only meeting bowlers' expectations, but in many cases exceeding the expectations to give them great performance. So it's really the best. The idea is to bring the best of both Brunswick and Ebonite together.
Good, that's really great. Brunswick is releasing Obsession series under Hammer brand this month, and we actually in Japan we have released this ball 2 weeks ago. And the Obsession is exact ball that Brunswick used the most updated technology, like you explained, and put great effort on. We can't wait to hear about this new series, but before we go there, can you please introduce new Hammer and how Brunswick locates the brand to Japanese market?
Well, the one thing I want to stress, without a doubt, of course, I had formerly been a part of Hammer and so many really exciting things that happened many years ago there at Ebonite International. But for Hammer, it's really clearly recognized as a leader in performance bowling balls all around the world, in Japan and all throughout Asia, the European market, and especially here in the United States. Hammer's recognized as really a leader in ball performance. And really for us here at Brunswick, we're just honored to be able to continue the traditions of the Hammer brand and to continue to drive innovation and improve the ball performance in the Hammer product line. We know without a doubt, I know for sure, it's near and dear to my heart. Hammer bowlers have very high expectations when it comes to bowling balls. And we are working extremely hard to really deliver the products that Hammer bowlers demand, what they're looking for. We saw it with Black Widow, we saw it with WebMB, Web Tour, and most recently, as you've already mentioned, we're really excited about Obsession and Obsession Tour. The early response has been phenomenal. We have gotten really positive feedback. They're aggressive bowling balls, and we know the bowlers are going to like what they see.
Well, we want to ask you something about Black Widow because it's the name of Hammer. But before we go there, since Randy introduced himself that he's been working for Hammer over 20 years, is this brand somehow special to you?
Oh, most definitely is. And I think, to be honest with you, this is one I think that Brian and I kind of share that same commonality for this particular line of products for the Black Widow, because he and I were part of the group that originated this concept going out from the Hammer product line, and it was, I would say that it actually went beyond either of us our expectations into there, and it's grown into its own entity inside the Hammer brand itself.
Good. Thank you. So now we want to ask you about Black Widow 2.0. When we were speaking of Hammer brand, we can't avoid Black Widow. Actually, Brian Graham is the one who has created Black Widow years ago. So I'm sure you treat the series very nicely like your child. Please tell us about how Black Widow is doing in the world, including domestically in US and international, please.
Well, without a doubt, Black Widow, that's my baby. And as Randy mentioned, he and we worked on that project together many years ago. It seemed like a long time ago that we were able to put the Black Widow project together and deliver an outstanding bowling ball. And really, this is the one thing I thought we were tasked with the acquisition. The number one question that I was asked: when are you going to introduce Black Widow? Because the market really wanted it. That's a name that bowlers have come to know and trust. And I thought it was really important for us to capture the essence of what the original Black Widow was. That bowling ball motion that bowlers loved, they relied on, they trusted. I really think that Black Widow 2.0 was very similar, really almost like out of the same mold as the original Black Widow. And I think the one thing that the Black Widow 2.0 has done, it's confirmed our ability to make bowling balls that deliver the aggressive ball performance that hammer bowlers, and I know they're very particular, but we are able now to deliver the bowling balls that hammer bowlers are looking for. As far as how it's doing, I would say Black Widow 2.0 has been one of the top sellers within performance balls since we launched it back in November. And I can tell you the numbers keep going up every single day. So we talk about the success of Black Widow. What's great about that bowling ball and this entire series through the years, they really are embraced by bowlers, and bowlers find a way to get a Black Widow bowling ball in their bag. So it continues to sell well. It's one of our top sellers.
Thank you. Well, let's go back to your obsession now. How do you describe this ball, and what makes this ball unique or different from any other balls?
This is kind of an interesting project because this was a 2-ball launch, and within this 2-ball launch, we did something a little bit different. In this particular ball, what we wanted to do was, and as Brian alluded to earlier, is employ the dot technology in here, and by doing that, it allowed us to be able to take a weight block that is, as you can see in the diagram there, that is displaced off from the core, and be able to have that free floating away from the grip part of the ball, so that as you drill into it, you're not going to change the dynamics of that particular weight mass that's displaced further out away. As in the diagram there on the left, that you could see the drill, the gripping holes are actually drilling the backside of the core, so the weight block itself is pushed further away, acts like a torque lever, and what that does is having that mass displaced out there will allow some strong rotational kinetics and create steric influences on the ball itself to be able to have the ball to be able to make a good strong continuation. And if you look at the mass properties, it's basically a lower RG type ball, so it's actually going to rev up. It's got a moderate differential, 050, and the mass bias itself is not particularly strong in there, but with this strong steric force that's with this weight block that's displaced and allows that turning force, it creates a strong ball motion in there without having to have stronger mass bias into there. So it's really kind of unique in itself. Now, paired with this is the cover stock that we've done something a little bit different in that we've actually modified the cover to allow it to become very pliable and conformal with its environment. So as the topography changes in there, let's say if you're using new lanes or if you're using lanes that have actually been used and worn down, different types of lane conditions from low volume of oil to high volume of oil, the cover stock itself will allow itself to be able to kind of fit into whatever crevices that are in the lane itself and allow it to create some positive traction. So it minimizes a lot of the slippage that you could get as you go through an oil pattern, and there's not much, that the ball itself can grip to if it can't, conform to that. Usually reactives are built on a really rigid polymeric structure. By modifying what we did with this particular shell cover technology, we've allowed it to be able to fit into these grooves and nests to be able to traction much better. So you get a good, strong, consistent roll that actually is really good on heavier lane conditions. On the next ball that complements this in this 2-ball launch, the Session Tour, what you'll notice on that is that the weight block itself that's been we put out in space and through there just free floating, we took that away. And part of the reason why we've done that is, especially on tour balls, you want a lesser hooking ball to be able to complement the performance ball within the line. And usually what you find in a 2-ball launch is a stronger performing ball itself, and then a weaker performing ball like a pearl ball that actually covers a pretty good wide range of ball reaction. With this particular launch, the group felt like, hey, there's a gap that they could fill by coming up with something that did something a little bit different. So now they come out with 2 solid balls with this product launch. And what's interesting about it, the mass properties of this, the Hammer Obsession Tour and the Obsession are the same. The RGs and the mass bias are identical. The differential is different. There's a 32% reduction in differential in this ball, which doesn't give you necessarily the stronger turning forces that you would get off there to complement the cover stock that's put on this ball. But what's interesting, by keeping the mass bias at the level it is, between the differential and the mass bias, it actually strengthens the mass bias character in this tour ball and allows that ball to act like a high mass bias ball, allowing the ball to traction and work with this particular cover. And this cover stock that's on here has also been modified like we did with the Obsession. And this Tour V2 solid is actually built off the Webb Tour V1 cover stock. And we've modified it in a way so that it actually balances out real well so that it doesn't overdo the performance characteristic, but just gives you a nice, strong, continuous hooking ball down there that actually is a pretty good workhorse ball. So you've got a unique pair between these 2 balls as far as the performance goes. Usually you get the high performance ball in heavy oil and the other in dry conditions. Now you actually have a ball in heavy oil and a ball that can actually work in medium conditions as well as heavy conditions.
Yeah, I think this is one, and I'll speak to it. I think it's a great example of taking the best from Ebonite International and the best from Brunswick and being able to put together to offer something that's truly impressive. Randy talked about the strong hook motion, and I think it really goes back. When you look at Obsession, our goal was to build on the success of Black Widow, being able to offer more aggressive ball motion and medium to heavy oil patterns. We did it with core, we did it with cover stock, and in my opinion, and I've seen a lot of bowling balls go down the lanes, obviously, the last couple of years, I believe the Obsession is one of the strongest balls on the market today. And as Randy mentioned, the Obsession Tour, it's not a weaker ball. It's, I would just say, a smoother, more controllable ball that maybe rev dominant players or slower ball speed bowlers have a strong hook motion, but it's more controllable and easier to use for those types of players. And I think as you look here on the diagram, the Obsession core, you can see where you get a little bit of imagination. You can see how it could be related to a Black Widow core. It's certainly, again, out of that, capturing the essence and making it even stronger. So we're excited about these balls.
Yes, thank you. And Randy has already kind of explained 2 different things on Obsession and Obsession Tour. But can you please explain a little bit more in detail what's your recommendation of how and when to use each balls?
Well, I'll go ahead and talk to a little bit. I'll talk to it a little bit first, and then Randy can get into this. I'll let you get into the science stuff. I mentioned already, if bowlers want strong hook motion, it's obsession. That's the most aggressive bowling ball. It's really designed for medium to heavy oil. And again, as I mentioned, we know some bowlers, they have more success and they bowl higher scores when they have a smoother, more controllable ball motion that would be similar to like the Obsession Tour. We're getting feedback from staff players constantly, and they do see where these two balls complement each other and how they perform and the wider variety of patterns.
Thank you. And like Brian already mentioned, that we see many PBA bowlers are already talking about these balls on their social medias or on magazines. What is the reaction you're receiving from them?
Yeah, I'll talk to it just quickly. The Obsession Tour, they were used at the PBA World Series of Bowling. They tend to like these balls when they're longer patterns, higher volume lane patterns. And again, they like the strong continuation, the big hook motion where they can get in, open up their angles, and really do a good job of controlling the lane front to back. So I know the players had some success, early success, with these two bowling balls, and I would imagine it's going to continue over the coming months.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for the interview. Lastly, may I have a few words from each one of you to Japanese bowlers, please?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go first. I think the one message that I want to be sure to communicate, I can assure you we are continuing to work to develop new technologies and really greatly expand our range of ball performance. Of course, as we continue to work through the pandemic and everything and how it's impacted the world, we certainly look forward to getting back to Japan as soon as possible. I really enjoy being in the bowling centers in Japan. I enjoy seeing the bowlers and how passionate they are about the sport of bowling and competitive bowling. And one of the things that's great is really seeing the energy and excitement in the bowling centers when I am in Japan. It's been difficult. It's going to continue to be difficult, maybe only for a few more months. And I really would like to thank the pro shops and the bowlers in Japan for all the amazing support. And I look forward to seeing you sometime soon.
Thank you.
As far as a business, we couldn't function and do what we do without the groups who need the products, and we try to fulfill those needs and the relationships we built with distributors like Legend Star and the many pro shops and the consumers who depend and trust us, to come out with the products that they would like to see and help them achieve things that they would like to do, engaged into the recreational and the sport of bowling. Definitely want them to know that the efforts that have been put in place and the investment that Brunswick has made within this industry of being able to bring on another several set of brands, but not just that, but the technology and capabilities between two companies, and this marriage between the two companies is allowing us the ability to help fulfill those needs and solve the problems that the bowlers face every day when they go to compete or bowl in different venues. And we're committed to being able to challenge ourselves to be able to push that envelope and not just have just 7 brands, just have them within there, but basically to have these brands, especially like the Ebonite and the Hammer lines that Legend Star supports us in the Japanese market, but to be able to have these products and have them have unique features and have a broader range of performance attributes, so that way we can solve a lot of those needs that are within that marketplace. And we're committed as a company to being able to do that. We challenge ourselves every day to what we can do and what we could do better to help service the marketplace and the bowlers within bowling in the bowling industry.
Thank you. Jordan, can we have a few words, please?
Oh, sure, I can go again. Yes. I think first and foremost, we want to assure the Japanese bowlers and pro shops especially that they are in great hands with Legend Star, with the Ebonite and Hammer brands. We put a lot of trust in them, and we have a wonderful working relationship and open lines of communication. So any feedback from pro shops and bowlers to Legend Star will make its way to Brunswick, and we are always working to build better, more innovative, and better performing products. And we thank you for that trust, and I will assure you that you just never know what's around the corner. It's amazing what we've already accomplished in 1 year since the acquisition, and the things to come this summer and in 2022 and above and beyond are going to be very, very exciting for the Hammer and Ebonite brands.
Thank you.